Hey everyone, this is Roger from Internet Dragons TV with a video review of Penny Arcade the game, Gamers vs. Evil. This is an iOS game put out by Playdeck based on the Cryptozoic board game. If you're not familiar with Penny Arcade, well, I'll be very surprised. However, if in fact you're not, it's a webcomic put out by Jerry Holkin and Mike Rolick, otherwise known by their alter egos Tycho and Gabe. The webcomic has been around for many years, and during that time has amassed millions of fans. The guys have done a lot more than just the webcomic. However, that's not a discussion for this review. What is important to note, however, is that there are very few folks who are blasé about this strip. Yes, I said blasé, get over it. Most folks either love it or hate it. Now, in most cases, that could work against the game developers. However, in this case, because the love it camp is so friggin' huge, it works strongly in their favor. Gamers vs. Evil is a deck building game, and they've used Gabe's artwork for the cards. Gabe has a very distinct art style which has improved greatly over the years. His renditions of game scenes are among my favorites. At a recent charity auction, one of his pieces depicting Link from the popular Zelda games was auctioned for thousands of dollars. I'm not certain exactly how much it was, but it was either $4,000 or $5,000, I believe. And I'll be honest, as an art collector, if I'd had the money to spare and I'd been there, I'd have been bidding on it as well and would proudly display that piece in my collection. But I digress. Let's get back to the game. Once again, this is a deck building game based on a board game by Cryptozoic. Now, this is important to note because it's not a trading card game. TCGs are a different beast, and they'll bleed you of cash feeding into your collection addiction. The base cards are made available in TCGs, and then you need to keep buying booster packs to get newer cards. You'll find blends of TCGs and deck building games occasionally, like Playdeck's Ascension. However, Gamers vs. Evil is a deck building game based on a board game, so everything you need is in the box, or app in this case. While this is nice because it means you won't have to keep spending money hand over fist on new cards, it does mean the game has limited replayability, although that will depend on how much you enjoy the game. Some folks are likely to put in tons of hours, whereas I found that I lost interest during longer sessions. I still start the game up on a regular basis, just not nearly as often as I did with other games which kept my interest, such as the absolutely amazing Magic the Gathering game. However, that's a true TCG, so it's not necessarily a fair comparison. Another important thing to note about the game from the get-go is the mature nature of the cards. It is based on Penny Arcade strips, which means you'll be seeing cards like Scrotum, although to be honest, there aren't many quote-unquote offensive cards. That said, I think that Touch Wieners is absolutely hilarious, especially considering the card's ability, which is each opponent who reveals a Touch Wiener from their hand draws a card. Say no more. The game has a tutorial that will run you through a test game, and it's good. However, I'd have liked to have seen more tutorials for various game mechanics and options. Not everything is crystal clear, and we shouldn't have to bundle through trial and error to understand all of the game's concepts and mechanics. So let's start up a game versus the AI. You can see that you can have up to 6 concurrent games going, which I think is fantastic. I'm not likely to ever need that many at the same time, but the option is there if, like, you have lots of friends, real or make-believe. You start the game with a limited deck, and from there you accrue resources, tokens, and power. You use these to buy more cards to build your deck. At the end of each turn, you discard your hand and draw a new hand, thereby having a chance to draw some of the more powerful cards you've bought. This is deck building 101, nothing new here. You want to look through all of the cards to determine which you want to buy with your resources. You can strategize and build specific kinds of decks. However, due to the limited amount of stacks available in each game, there's really only so much you can do. This isn't like a TCG where you have multiple decks in your arsenal with which to smite thy enemy. No. You have a limited amount of cards to buy your resources, and therein lies some of the problem with this type of game based on a board game. You will get tired of seeing that same scrotum all the time. It's not a huge deal, but it is an annoyance. The objective is to get the most victory points. You can battle bosses, and you can also PvP versus other player. However, PvP doesn't include much more than flashing a card to show you're attacking and the player defending by showing a card or receiving a PAX card. And if they don't have any PvP cards in their hand, and these PAX cards are essentially useless cards which serve no purpose other than to slow down your opponent's progress. And that's it in a nutshell. As I said in my review at Internet Dragons TV, the game's UI created by Playtech is fantastic. They've honed their card game engine to the point where I can't find much wrong with it. It's smooth, responsive, uncluttered despite the masses of cards on the virtual table. The audio also suits the game perfectly with an 8-bit score and sound effects which you can adjust independently. There are plenty of other options and online play was seamless for me. All that said, I still feel that $5 is a little high. I think that $2.99 would have been a better price point. The game went on sale recently for 99 cents, and for that price you'd be a fool not to pick it up. The game has a very high rating score and it is definitely worth checking out. Whether or not you stick with it will depend on how much you enjoy deck building games. Thanks for watching. For the full review of this game, as well as other reviews and gaming videos, head over to internetdragons.tv. Please subscribe to this channel and follow us on Twitter too at Internet Dragons. Take care.